I have too much Bitcoin to do what you're saying. I cannot self-custody. I own 300 weapons. I don't know anyone that moves 40 or 50 or 100 or $300 million around their pocket. And this is going to be a transition. I have been involved in transitions my whole career. These take much longer than people anticipate.
Bitcoin is meant to be used by you taking it to self-custody as an individual. Gary's making the case that that's not necessary. People are going to use it in different ways.
There's collaborative custody, and what you're doing is you're reducing counterparty risk.
Gold 6102 went into place. It was a confiscation of gold, but all the gold did not get confiscated.
Imagine this conference 5 years ago, and we said, you know, we're going to be celebrating the fact that BlackRock, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, and the U.S. government are really, you know, the bull case for Bitcoin going up. We would be like, what are we talking about here? That was the narrative last year.
Or is the goal of Bitcoin to hold it on your own and to opt out of the system?
Well, look,
Wait, hold on. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
but look, this is a really really important question. Okay, I have
Wait, hold on. Wait.
I have too much Bitcoin to do what you're saying. I cannot self-custody. I own 300 weapons. I brought one to this conference. I did not bring all 300 weapons to the conference. Okay. I don't know anyone that moves 40 or 50 or 100 or $300 million around their pocket. Okay, they don't. This is not practical, guys. Like in order for money to move really fast, I have to have some systems. I personally, it's awesome if the whole system collapses. We are going to be at $30 Bitcoin. We won't have a market. It will be Mad Max. It's not a world that I want to live in. Okay, it's not a world anyone wants to live in. And this is going to be a transition. I have been involved in transitions my whole career. These take much longer than people anticipate, and they make much more progress than people anticipate, but it takes longer.
I want to ask the crowd. So raise your hand if you guys are on the camp of Gary, and then don't raise your hand if you're on the camp of Chantel, and the stage included. Okay, camp is this: Bitcoin is meant to be used by you taking it to self-custody as an individual. Gary's making the case that that's not necessary. People are going to use it in different ways. So.
It absolutely is, and I would have to say that it absolutely is both. You have to use Bitcoin, but I'm saying that the goal of Bitcoin, to Gary's point, was not necessarily the tax break. The goal of Bitcoin is to use it. What you were mentioning as well is that Bitcoin does not come to its true fruition the way that Satoshi intended if we're not using Bitcoin. You can't have every single thing in self-custody, but what I mean is that the goal overall is to make sure that we're opting out of the system and utilizing it in either a peer-to-peer electronic currency aspect, or we're at least holding majority of it on our own.
But how can you opt out of the system if it's not in self-custody?
You truly don't, though, right? So he has to call Lloyd's of London or whoever to unlock. You know, he has multiple keys, I would imagine, or however it works for him. But, you know, that's not true. You know, if the shit really does hit the fan, they're not answering the phone, right? So at what point is it just, you know, are we using Bitcoin as it's intended? Is it a medium of exchange, or are you just going to, you know, or are you going to take on that counterparty risk?
That's the question I have for you guys, right? So do you guys believe that if the only true way to use Bitcoin is by taking self-custody of it completely? Raise your hand if you agree with that.
Like seashells. Seashells used to be used as currency, guys.
And then raise your hand if you agree with Gary, who says there's multiple different ways of using Bitcoin. Okay, it's both.
But I mean, Imagine.
One of the nice
Okay,
things
so then-
now with self-custody, though, is that there's collaborative custody. And what you're doing is you're reducing counterparty risk. So
But there's
that
trade-offs.
unlike-
There's trade-offs to that.
Yes, there's absolutely trade-offs, but as we were talking about the other day, the trade-offs come with, so yes, okay, it could be less convenient. However, you can still make sure that, say in a 6102 event, that you...
What does that mean?
So 6102 is essentially when all gold was confiscated.
Well, all
And
gold was
so-
not confiscated. Only 12% of it got confiscated. That's the part y'all don't talk about. Only 12% of all the gold when the confiscation
Yeah, but
actually got
FDR,
confiscated.
but FDR made it
We
illegal
have
for.
weapons in this country, man.
Yeah, I
Okay,
get.
That's the cool thing.
But you just told me.
That's the cool thing. That's why that does not happen. But
You just said
12%.
you don't want shit to hit the fan, bro.
What's that?
You just said you don't want shit to hit the fan.
I didn't understand.
You just said you don't want shit to hit the fan. And now you said we got guns.
No, I'm just saying that all the gold did not get confiscated. I just want to be clear for the audience. We have an obligation to teach properly.
But hold
I
on.
learned a lot from owning Bitcoin to say, hey, 6102, which I didn't know, it's cool. 6102 went into place. There was a confiscation of gold, but all the gold did not get confiscated.
But FDR made it illegal for American citizens to own gold, and the reason that the confiscation was so effective was because FDR was able to literally knock on the door of the custodians.
No, the gold was effective. The confiscation was ineffective. They set the price. They fixed the price, man.
He knocked on the door of the banks that hold the majority of the gold on behalf of people.
And now imagine this conference 5 years ago when we said, we're going to be celebrating the fact that BlackRock, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, and the U.S. government are really, the bull case for Bitcoin going up. We'd be like, what are we talking about here? That was the narrative last year. That's why Bitcoin's not, I think that's why Bitcoin's not working, right? To Gary's earlier point, there's a narrative issue, there's a marketing issue with this asset class, right? I think it's being commandeered by Wall Street. And
if you guys don't want Wall Street adopting, you're going to be at $30,000 Bitcoin. Like, I don't understand how you get to 8 billion people without going through a central depository. Why are we meeting in this hotel, in this centralized event? It's so much risk. You and I might die, and all the Bitcoin's going to price out. Like, this is really scary. We're centralized right now. Ooh, no, we're centralized because it makes fucking sense, man. We all get together, hang out, drink some coffee. There's not a problem with this. Now, if the Four Seasons goes all freaky, right? Maybe we all die here. We could. There could be some idiot with a bomb in here, okay? I don't want to live in a decentralized world with all my Bitcoin going, let me see if somebody can sell me a TV. Now, let me go find the Bitcoin distributor for TVs. Oh, shit, they don't really offer the best TV. Like you're going to really grind. Like, you really don't want Michael Saylor here? Like, Michael Saylor is offering people like my sister with $300,000 to move from RJ Reynolds stock to SBR and make 11%. That's a cool use of Bitcoin, man. Like how is that wrong?
I think, and this is a Jeff
Bitcoin's
Booth.
for everyone, good and bad people, right? Good institutions and bad institutions. It's not just for the good people, the morally correct.
One of my favorite quotes from Jeff Booth is, one of the things about Bitcoin is that you have to be okay with even your worst enemy using it. So fundamentally, at the end of the day, right, as you guys could see, we all kind of have different perspectives on the panel, right, in terms of, full sovereignty, collaborative custody, full self-custody, trusting a custodian. And ultimately, what makes Bitcoin beautiful is that it comes down to the individual's decision what they want to do with their Bitcoin. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, right? So, if you get wrecked in a 6102 order, the self-custodian maxis are going to be like, I told you so. If that doesn't happen, the custodian people are going to be like, I told you so too. So at the end of the day, things are going to go how they go out. But the beauty is that each and every single one of you people in the audience right now have the choice. And that's so important, because before, There really wasn't a choice. Like, there really wasn't. You could say, okay, but there was. Like, I could take out cash. Like, yeah, okay. Try taking a bunch of cash and crossing a border. Like, good fucking luck. That's not going to work out too well. Try doing it with gold. That's not going to work out too well. For the first time in human history, you can store millions, billions, trillions of dollars in your mind by memorizing a 12-word seed phrase. And, go ahead. Of course. So what you bring up is a very, very, very important topic, and it's a very important problem that's being many entrepreneurs in the space are trying to solve, right? So collaborative custody is one way of doing it. Geographically separating your seeds in a multi-sig so that even if someone $5 wrench attacks you, I literally can't give it to you if I wanted to. Now there's Anchor Watch that came out that has literally insurance. So yes, it is a problem, right? Because at the end of the day, if you do take self-custody and you are a known figure, someone could show up at your house, not even with a gun, with a wrench, and say, listen, I'm going to hit you in the top of the head if you don't give me your Bitcoin. So listen, there's no perfect solutions to this. Me and Chantal were talking about this the other day. There's just trade-offs. But the important part is that at least there's trade-offs. Because in the previous system, there was no trade-offs. What I consider a bank account is a 2 of 3 multi-sig, where you hold one key, the state holds another key, and the bank holds another key. You're losing in that situation regardless. At least you could be a badass and decide to take self-custody and bury your seed phrase in your backyard or whatever you want to do, right? At least you have the choice to do it. And most importantly, we are all financially privileged in this room because we live in the United States of America, right? Most people do not have that privilege. Most people on planet Earth, especially in the global south, live in countries with massive capital controls and also live in countries that don't have relatively stable fiat currencies. Bitcoin is built for them. For the first time, they can access the global financial markets via Bitcoin without any fear of persecution, fear of censorship, fear of their Bitcoin or of their wealth being stolen. They could take their money with them. That's never happened before in human history. And going back to Craig's point, we fucking forgot that in 2025. That was forgotten. It became the summer of suit coins. It became the summer of ETFs. It became the summer of Bitcoin treasuries. We have to go back to the fundamentals. That's my opinion. I might be wrong, but anyhow. Craig, back to you, bro. You were talking about the early days, or 2 or 3 years ago, how much Bitcoin culture has changed. Why do you think that is?
Number go up, right? I mean, the market cap is bigger now. I think more eyes on it. I also think society is changing, and there was some talk on the earlier panel about financial nihilism and folks feeling left behind, trying to get ahead, and so the gambling culture and prediction markets and crypto and Bitcoin, I think, has become part of that. So I think there's just more eyes on it, more interest, different types of interests are looking at the asset class and trying to figure out what the next 5 years are going to look like. And so, but then I think really with the government getting involved, I know we talked about it last year, just is this a good thing? I'm still not sure. Is the U.S. government's purchasing of Bitcoin something that we all want as a community? I think we originally, when we all got into this, it was anti-state, and now it is pro-state. So,
Gary, I'm going to end it with you. You say this is a necessity for Bitcoin to reach higher and higher market caps, the involvement of nation states, the involvement of Wall Street.
I never said that.
Okay.
If you're waiting for an SBR in the United States, I think you're going to be waiting a long time. I do not need the United States government buying Bitcoin, but I think you need Fidelity involved, or you're not going to get distribution. I think you need every one of these major players Look, am I good or bad for the Bitcoin community? I came here 5 years ago. I know almost everyone I have never seen an industry where a human being with no expertise in this area in 4 to 5 years could come into this space, know almost everyone, build a large position. If you don't want guys like me, it took my brother 3 years after that to come in. He's going to buy 5,000 or 6,000 Bitcoin. Are we bad for the market? If you don't want new buyers in here, you will not have an asset worth anything. You'll trade it when you go to Thailand with some prostitute. But you're not going, and you're going to be tracked and traced, by the way. Okay, I own a company that can track and trace everything you're doing. I mean, absolutely everything. And if you tell me your solution is Zcash and Monero, I will show you how we'll see all the on-ramps and off-ramps. And if the government wants to control your custody of Bitcoin, they're going to control the custody of your Bitcoin. They're going to throw your ass in jail, and they're going to wait you out. Come on, let's be honest, okay? So I would prefer 8 billion people to get Bitcoin, and the price is $1 million for Bitcoin. Because my play is, I'm interested in super, super rich. I'm interested in staying in the 1%, man. That's why I'm here. I want to stay in the 1%. And however I can do that, which is, by the way, how do I do it? I get to 120% allocation. I don't do 5%. This is a great trade, dude. It's great for 120 or 130 or 140%. If I'm wrong, my kids grow up exactly like me. If I'm right, they have a major problem. Major problem, okay? The responsibility level for this opportunity is staggering. Like, I have literally cut every business I have because the opportunity here, this is not going to happen in 20 years, dude. This is going to come and go, and you're going to be like, oh, wow, he was really lucky. And he's really fucking rich, right? This is an opportunity for Joe Schmo to change the trajectory of their family, but also to have influence into the future. That's why I gave Trump 12.8 Bitcoin. Through Bitcoin community, I didn't do it direct. I could have done it direct. I did it through Bitcoin because I wanted to see him, hey, what will we do for you if you guys elect us? And most certainly, I think that's been good. His shenanigans on the tokens, great, whatever. But we have a Congress, we have a Senate, we have a whole policy group of people talking about it. Whether we get there or not is irrelevant. They're doing some good marketing for us. They're talking about Bitcoin all the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the HODL and Hustle panel, thank you so much.